This is Jovan Pulitzer on screen. He's having a conversation with Roseanne right now, and he's claiming that he invented the QR code and a whole bunch of other stuff. And to my knowledge, the QR code was invented by a Japanese guy. I'm super suspicious of everything out of his mouth. He's like a right-wing QAnon nutcase.
And the great misdirection was, it's the machines. I saw the machines change the vote. I saw it on TV. Yeah. You did not. And that is what allowed Dominion to sue and win and shut everybody up. It was game played legal out to the beginning. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. So he's saying that all of the shit that you thought happened didn't actually happen, and that they were using misdirection to trick you. And why? Why would anybody do all of this worthless, pointless stuff?
And all these people that said the machines, we're going to melt them into prison bars, everybody ate it up.
That was Mike Lindell.
They changed the vernacular of everybody, and one other word got added: fraud. That's fraud. I saw fraud. It was fraud.
Yeah,
now, here are the rules of the election. When it comes to election law, the only people in an election, as the election is working or has occurred or immediately wrapped, that can declare fraud are the county attorney, the state attorney general, the secretary of state, or the governor. They are the only ones that can make a declaration of fraud.
A voter fraud? Is that what he's talking about? I don't know what he's going on about right now, truthfully.
Anything else has to run through the court system and be determined to be fraud.
Okay.
No, I think everybody has to go through the court system to determine if it's actually fraud.
Okay.
Right? So what?
No. What's he talking about? Am I wrong here? That could be.
What they did is they seeded with the American population that was fraud. Now, what it did is it changed very subtly the course. We never had attorneys that dealt with this, which is, I'll explain how that happened. Mm-hmm. We never had attorneys that dealt with it.
Yes, we did.
Any of this crap. So attorneys only mimicked what they heard on TV. Uh-huh. Attorneys only mimicked what people say. And in their documents, they would put, we saw fraud. It was this and this and this. Now, here's the rules.
Oh, my God. He is so full of shit. Every word out of his mouth is BS. Every word.
When you don't understand that we have individual state elections.
Right.
We don't have federal elections.
Right.
We have state elections. But when you declare there is fraud in a state election, it falls under the jurisdiction of the Department of Justice, goes to Merrick Garland.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
They trained everybody to call it fraud. And by the way, you can't undo an election that was done by fraud until you prove the fraud and it is adjudicated by a court and determined. What they did is they moved the legal words which floated up there, and that's why they say you don't have standing, you don't have jurisdiction, because you can't call it. Here's what it was. It was called maladministration.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you maladminister an election, meaning you didn't run it right by the rules,
it means nothing. Did he just make this word up on the spot?
It's 100% redoable.
That's what they should have done.
100% redoable. And when you're investigating maladministration,
he's just lying. All of this is just bullshit all the way down. He's just like making shit up. He's creating this big, ridiculous story in his head. This is insane. I love the Tesla coils in this game. Yeah.
If you find a recurrence of it, then it becomes malfeasance. So here's the difference, and here's the number one racket of all, because it's all about words. Have you ever wondered why, let's take Brnovich in Arizona that didn't do a damn thing except screw around with his nunchucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a word. I'm being told it is a word. Okay, interesting.
Brnovich in Arizona, somehow they found a woman that voted her dead mother's ballot. Mm-hmm. Now, number one, when it's the ballot's taken out of the envelope, right?
Cracked, you call it, right?
And it's separated. You can't connect the voter. So the first thing you have to ask.
Wait, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? You can't connect the voters when the ballot is out of the envelope? The ballot has the name and address and signature and everything else of the person. And if the signatures do not match each other, then they aren't counted. In fact, then they're investigated. I don't understand what he's going on about right now.
Ask is how did they know she did it? But bear with me.
Because of the signature. That's how they knew she did it.
Ballot's taken out of the envelope.
Yeah.
Right.
See, like, there are solutions to the problems he's complaining about right now. And he's pretending that there aren't, I guess. Oh my God, I just got destroyed by this guy.
Right?
Cracked, you called it, right?
That, and it's separated. You can't connect the voter. So the first thing you have to ask is, how did they know she did it? But bear with me. And so what they do, and this is, you can look it up on Brennan site, because all these guys are on it, the Brennan Law site or Brennan Justice Center.
No, thank you.
Brnovich in these states will find one. They will use it as an example of how they're doing their jobs. And they'll say, we found this lady that voted Mama's ballot. And that's a crime. And we have convicted her of voter fraud. Now, the key word here is voter fraud. Well, hang on. See, they can say fraud. The key words here, voter. I'm about to blow your mind with this. And so what they do is they'll convict the person, get a, jail or plea or whatever. And then they can come.
Dude, I'm straight up getting destroyed right now. Maybe it was too early to fight this guy.
Come out and say, we've got 2.5 million voters in Maricopa County, Arizona, and we found only one person that committed voter fraud. Now, they do that so they can tell you voter fraud.
First of all, who is they? And second, you're catching what he's arguing, right? He's arguing that instances of voter fraud were, in fact, caught. We did catch people in fraudulent situations, but the only reason that we did that, we, or they, is so that they can prove that secretly they are doing their jobs, but secretly they're not really doing their jobs. They're just using this. This guy is a joke.
Doesn't happen very often.
Right, it's rare.
Now, put a pin in that for a minute. Voter fraud.
Wait, how many pins have we put in this so far?
When they illegally print the ballots, when they illegally put names in the voter rolls, when they illegally don't check signatures, when they illegally...
This is not happening. None of this stuff is happening. Nobody is illegally not checking signatures or whatever.
Illegally don't track the ballots, when they illegally don't, you have to understand that takes a system. Now that's called election fraud. And what is election fraud? Federal racketeering, RICO, which brought down the mob. And that's why...
Election fraud is federal racketeering? He's just pulling this right out of his ass, right?
They need people to focus on voter fraud. And they say voter fraud is so small it's not real, because they need you to stay away from the real thing that's election fraud. So let me show you.
I said all along.
All right, well, you just say fraud. There's no fraud, okay? As Bill Barr said, not enough fraud in our election system to change the results of the election. Trump lost by like 5 states. You're trying to tell me that all 5 states conspired to work against him? Come on. But how many did Trump lose by? I forget. You can go to 270towin.com. It's actually a pretty cool website. 2020 votes. Hold on. Okay, so as far as swing states go, Trump lost Colorado, Arizona, Nevada. He lost Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and New Hampshire isn't New Hampshire normally a swing state, or it can be? So Trump got, I think, 235 delegates. He needed 270. Biden won basically by 101 delegates. He had 101 more delegates than Trump, pretty much. It's a little more complicated than that, but you get the idea. So you're trying to tell me Arizona, Nevada, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and Georgia all cheated. All of them cheated? Colorado is no longer a swing state. Yeah, that's true. I shouldn't mark it as a swing state. I had it marked down as one. Shit. There we are.
People to focus on voter fraud, and they say voter fraud is so small it's not real, because they need you to stay away from the real thing that's election fraud. So let me show you.
Like, I don't need you to stay away from anything. What are you talking about? I mean, earlier in this show, he said something like, the Luciferians always need you to, or I'm sorry, let me say again. The Luciferians always have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it, or it's not going to work. They're not allowed to. It's a tenet of Satanism that they have to. Blah, blah, blah. That is insane.
I said all along it was
RICO.
RICO.
It's 100% RICO.
I don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's not RICO.
Grab one of these, Jake. Just grab one somewhere.
One piece of paper?
One piece of paper out of my stack here. Can you see it? Just grab a piece. Doesn't matter where. Okay. So, you two, grab anywhere you want. Doesn't matter.
Don't forget to be on your mic, Ma.
Okay. So we all got a piece of paper. Now we're going to do a few things. Okay. consider this a batch of ballots.
Okay.
Okay.
This is a batch of ballots. Now, what they say is, and you got to understand all the levels that they have built into the system. And I haven't even gotten to the actual facts and crimes of an audit. I'm just telling you how they do it. Number one, they tell you.
You know, one major reason why this could never happen, what he's describing, is because it would be such a massive effort. Each state controls its own election systems, and many of these states are right-leaning, have right-wing congressmen, have a right-wing Congress generally. A lot of these states are, like Arizona, was controlled by Republicans. So it can't just be that like the voting machines were a little messed up. They weren't, but it can't just be that. It has to also be that Georgia and Arizona, Nevada, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and New Hampshire all planned to trick everybody, lie to them, and conspired together to whatever. This is insane.
Tell you we're going to do a recount. Now, there are three types of recounts they do. You got to dig deeper. Now, here's number one. The quote-unquote systems have a little bitty ticker tape that's kind of like the gas station receipts we get. What they'll do is they'll take all of the ticker tapes, line them up, add the total number of ballots that went through, and
oh boy, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose this battle. I should have trained more. That sucks.
if all the ticker tapes equal what they said they got in ballots, they did a recount. Now, did they recount anything?
No.
Screw no.
Yes, screw no. I've never. That's a good one. I like that. I'm gonna try to adopt that. They did recount. What are you talking about? Of course they did.
The total number of ballots that went through, and if all the ticker tapes equal what they said they got in ballots, they did a recount. Now, did they recount anything?
No.
Screw no. That's recount number one. Recount number two is they will take a machine, okay, and let's say the scanner, this is the scanner this time, because it goes into a scanner. They'll pull one scanner, and they'll say, how many ballots did it say it scanned? And let's say it says 1,000, okay? And then what they'll do is they'll get 1,000 ballots, and they'll rerun 1,000 pieces of paper through the scanner, and will the counter still reach 1,000? And it does. And so they say that's a recount.
I don't understand. Like, where is the hang up here? I'm not seeing. He's saying it so authoritatively, like this is most definitely how they've tricked people or whatever. Am I missing it? What's the kind of trick that he's trying to lay out here?
Just that it counted 1,000.
Yes.
Not the same 1,000.
Here's the final recount. When they said we recounted every ballot, remember, it's about words.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember the recount. And everything.
Right.
Right.
We counted every
So
fraudulent ballot.
Well, not what we ultimately did in Arizona, but other recounts. They will basically
Georgia.
take the stack of ballots and they will run them through a paper counter. And if they said 1 million people voted, there better be 1 million ballots. Now, does that have anything to do with who you voted for?
No.
No.
Not a freaking bit.
You're not looking at the ballot.
Okay, so he's saying that people were like running the wrong ballots through the machines then?
No, because they're not looking at the vote.
I'm sorry. They're not
And
looking
there
at
is
the
no
individual
regard.
ballot.
Is that the right paper?
Yeah, it's
Was
just
it
the
voted
ballot.
the right way? Was it in the right precinct? Was it in the right district? So you have to understand what it
Are
is.
they alive?
That's right.
Is this Georgia?
Yeah. No,
for
this is
example?
every state.
Every
But when
state.
Georgia did the
I'm
recount.
getting to Georgia. I'm going to show you how it works because you've already participated in this and you don't know it yet.
Okay.
So number one.
But I'm going to tell you, when I ran for president, I sued
Oh my God, I forgot she ran.
the state of Georgia and won. And I keep telling Trump, look at my lawsuit.
Yes. There are so many ways to get to this, and I'll give you solutions
Okay.
as we go on. We can fix this.
Okay, good.
They just push you away from it. Okay.
We have less than 2 months or something to fix it.
Okay.
Oh my God, dude.
Okay.
Okay.
So one of the first things that happened for me was you probably heard of me when I first came out. So this is your ballot. Take your ballot. And I want you just to fold it in half.
Mhm.
Okay? Now I'm going to watch you while you fold it. Go ahead and fold it like you fold it.
Okay.
Okay, so you folded it. You go ahead and fold it.
Uh-huh.
Now, can you see how each of you folded it differently? Hang on. I'm going to repeat.
Sorry.
Here's what Jake did. Jake went whoosh, and he was done. What did you do? Ready? Hang on, you went.
Yeah.
And then you went this. So that's actually multiple votes. Now here's physics. Hang on.
It's multiple votes. Physics. What is he talking about?
Here's physics. I realized that we can see that fold. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that fold out of the paper.
Okay.
Well, you can.
Just go ahead and try it any way you want.
And fold the other way.
Okay, so you're naturally going to do what? You folded it the other way.
That's
now
what
in
I did.
physics, here's what you've done. You've now broken the paper twice.
Right.
Mhm.
What is he talking about? You've broken the paper twice. I don't understand.
You broke it one way, and now you broke it the other way.
Yeah.
So that can never, ever, 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 ever go
No, you
back
can't
to
get
its
rid
original. You
of it,
can't get rid
no.
of it.
No.
And so in the study
Don't tell me what I can't do.
of motion or physics,
Mhm.
and we're watching TV and they're recounting ballots like this when we should see them like this. Even if they're stacked, we'll see these ripples, right?
Right.
And I'm on TV, I'm going, those aren't mail-in ballots.
Right. They should have been folded in the
Yeah.
mail.
Because
Folds.
they weren't
I saw it
mechanically
too.
fold. Right,
Yeah.
it's perfect. So I said, look,
I don't know what he's talking about right now.
as a
Patrick Byrne talked about this.
as a technologist, I can see that and I can develop something for it. Okay, now let me give you yours back. Okay?
This is when I heard.
Okay. So first we're going to do an exercise. I want you to look at your piece of paper and I want you to look at the bottom right-hand corner.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a check on it?
A check?
Do you see a pen marked check?
No.
Now,
Do you remember when we were getting ready, when I took this stack of paper and I was using the pen?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I remarked in here the statistical number of counterfeit ballots that it takes to change an election. And then I told you randomly choose one, which we did.
yeah.
Mhm.
What were the odds of you choosing one of the ones I marked was going to be counterfeited? Zero.
I would have to know how many you marked.
Yeah, it's not zero.
And that's why they do it.
Wow.
That's why they do it. That's why they do risk limiting audits, because they say we'll go
I have no idea what he is talking about. It feels like he's going off in this wild, confusing direction. Like, I don't understand. Am I the idiot here? Or is he just like nonsensically rambling?
go in and pull a few and we'll look at them. So let me tell you what those few are. In 2018,
Wow.
to verify that the election in Georgia was run right. First off, the risk limiting audit is run by the very companies and individuals that run the election, meaning your county officials and the program software providers they use. So out of a metropolitan area of a couple of million people, how many ballots did they look at to verify the election was run correctly?
2.
500.
25.
No. What are you talking about? They recounted all of the ballots in many states, like where it was requested and where the margin of error was close enough, where the count was close enough in percentages. They recounted them completely. I don't understand what he's talking about.
So out of a metropolitan area of a couple of million people, how many ballots did they look at to verify the election was run correctly?
2.
500.
25.
Oh my God!
What year
They
is this?
said,
Like, he can just lie. He sprinkles in a little bit of truth here and there. Some of these things are true, and the rest is just straight up lies.
in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia,
Wow.
Fulton County, they looked at 25.
Fulton
For the
County.
Fulton County, sorry. For the election in 2020, their risk limiting audit, 250 ballots.
Wow.
Now, I just ran that exercise on you. There is no statistical way you can look at anything statistical, right, and find the fraud. Now, let's say hypothetically,
You can't look at anything statistical and find the fraud. Okay.
one of us found one of the ballots
Yeah.
I marked in here.
What if I got a check?
You got to check. And you go, we found some. Well, how
No.
many did you find in that batch?
One.
Well, if we do the math on them, that's still not enough to what?
I understand what he's saying. This just is not how it worked. It was completely recounted. Everything was recounted. They even had that company Cyber Ninja doing the counting. You remember? They got all of the ballots and put them in like a clean room that was locked, and they had cameras on everybody at all times counting through them, and genuinely sat there and counted and found that Biden won Arizona, or Maricopa County specifically, by more than initially expected. Like, I don't know how he can say all of this while knowing that this stuff took place in Maricopa County, that these counts happened. How can he possibly claim this stuff?
Make a material difference in the outcome of the election.
Holy
You
shit.
see
Oh,
how it
they're
works?
so smart.
Holy shit, that's so smart. No, it's not.
You better believe
God,
it.
we're dumb.
This
Because
is all
they're
game. This is all game
lawyers.
theory.
They're lawyers.
They
with
walked
game
us
theory.
right into this trap because I've been
There's
going on the
nothing more
machines.
satanic than lawyers.
This is
But
horrible.
lawyers
Oh, please, dude. My wife's a lawyer. Although, you know what? She's, I guess, satanic, right?
with game theory is even more
That's right.
satanic.
Okay, now hang on. Let me just look up. I've read about game theory at length, but I don't remember. So let me just look it up again. It's a study of mathematical models of strategic interactions. It has applications in many fields of social science and is used extensively in economics, logic, systems science, and computer science. I don't know how game theory applies to what they're talking about right now. Here's Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Game theory in the form known to economists, social scientists, and biologists was given its first general mathematical formulation by John von Neumann and Oscar Morgenstern in 1944. I think Neumann is a German name. Yeah, I believe that John von Neumann is probably German. For reasons to be discussed later, limitations in their formal framework initially made the theory applicable only under special limited conditions. Okay, I don't understand what any of this has to do with the election. Am I missing something?
This is called, they combined what's called chaos theory and game theory, and they've gamed and chaosed all of this out.
So we walked into a trap.
Chaos
Tucker walked
theory.
into a trap.
Look,
Okay, let's look this one up too. What is chaos theory? Chaos theory is an interdisciplinary area of scientific study and a branch of mathematics. It focuses on underlying patterns and deterministic laws of dynamical systems that are highly sensitive to initial conditions. Okay, why are they using all of these words? They could just say it in English. These were once thought to have completely random states of disorder and irregularities. Okay. So chaos theory is like where the planets and the comets and everything going all over the place, they all seem like they're in random places and going random directions with random ellipses and everything else. But if you were to run it all the way back to the beginning when it first formed, the accretion disk, you would find that like initial conditions, like a rock flying by or something at just the right moment, those initial conditions are responsible for what we see today, for the exact placement of Earth and everything. It looks chaotic, but it's actually very, everything is very specific. It's doing specific things for specific reasons. It's my understanding. And interestingly enough, it's impossible to know the exact trajectory of the planets. You cannot know the exact trajectory long term. You can figure out what the trajectory is over the next 1,000 years. You can figure out where the planets will be in a certain period of time, but you cannot know over a long span of time, fascinatingly. Anyway, I don't know what game theory, chaos theory, or any of this other shit has to do with anything. I don't know what they're talking about right now. So is he acting like Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, just throwing chaos theory in the mix? Yeah, he is. That's what it seems like to me. That means nothing. What does chaos theory have to do with elections like this?
More
that's right.
satanic.
This is called, they combined what's called chaos theory and game theory, and they.
You can, based on where you are currently positioned. You can't. Turns out you cannot. Specifically with the planets. It's not possible.
Going on the
Nothing more
machines.
satanic than lawyers.
This is
but
horrible.
lawyers with game theory is even more
That's right.
satanic.
This is called, they combined what's called chaos theory and game theory, and they've gamed and chaosed all of this out.
So we walked into a trap.
Chaos
Tucker
theory.
walked into a trap.
Look, let's go. You
Because I've
remember,
been doing this.
okay, do you remember hearing about
My rabbi called chaos theory Satan.
It is.
It is, right?
It is.
I don't understand what they mean when they say chaos theory. What are they talking about right now? What does chaos theory have to do with anything? I don't understand. Am I the idiot here?
It is.
Because you're learning to master chaos.
Yeah.
When you understand human nature and where human nature breaks down in chaos, and chaos becomes the tool that drives them, then you can predict all their
That's
outcomes.
why they say order out of chaos, because they create the
order they want.
But okay.
And then they come
That-
up with their bullshit.
Their New World Order.
Wow, the New World Order. Of course, they being Satanists in their minds. Did I just get Flash? I wasn't paying attention to the game. I think I did. So they're saying that demons, Luciferians or whatever, are setting out to destroy everything and then fixing it, and then holding a ransom over your head to fix it, basically, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
Holy
okay.
shit. Okay.
Do you remember hearing about the infamous call with Eric Coomer of Dominion Voting?
Yes.
Yes.
You remember hearing
yes.
about that call?
Yes. I fucking hate that.
I was on a call. It was Antifa. It was Eric Coomer on Dominion. And they said, don't worry about this. We've taken care of it. You remember that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about. Said it was Antifa. That's super fascinating. I have a little story about Antifa in a minute.
Do you know anything about the background of that?
No.
No.
Okay, here's the deal.
Just
I mean, everything he's about to tell us is going to be a lie, certainly, right? But I wish I knew more about it. What about Eric Coomer? Phone call. Wow. One of the search results when I type in Eric Coomer is phone number. Somebody is trying to, harass this guy. Here. Post revives baseless claim that Dominion employee admitted to interfering in the 2020 election. This is from May 19th, 2023 from AP News. Voting systems employee named Eric Coomer, I thought he was the CEO, said on an Antifa conference call prior to the 2020 election, don't worry about the election, Trump's not going to win. I made fucking sure of that. That's the claim. Okay, I understand. Here's AP's assessment. False. There's no evidence of Coomer saying this, and he's denied it in a sworn declaration. Sworn declaration. Joseph Altman, a conservative podcaster, first made the claim 6 days after the 2020 election on his show, but also said at the time he couldn't be certain it was Coomer who made the statement. He's not presented credible evidence to corroborate the claim. Coomer has since filed 5 defamation lawsuits related to these allegations. Wow, really interesting. The facts. The erroneous claim, which has been shared in the past by major political figures and media personalities, cropped up again this week on Instagram. A post shows a picture of Coomer identified as the Director of Strategy and Security at Dominion, next to his supposed quote. Text below the quote specifies that Coomer made the statement while talking on an Antifa conference call, but there's no credible proof that Coomer said this or that such a conference call ever happened. Altman has never expressed doubt about his own assumptions. Fascinating. Okay, well, anyway, that's the bottom line. So it's fake, what they're talking about here.
And they said, don't worry about this. We've taken care of it. You remember that,
yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
Did not happen, I guess. Here's the interesting thing I was going to say about Antifa or whatever. In Germany in the 1920s and 30s, there was a kind of a struggle between the National Socialists, aka the Nazi Party, the Communist Party, the KPD, and the SPD, which is the Social Democrats, basically. The Social Democrats are the ones that kind of formed out. It was the ideology that formed out the Weimar Republic, the government at the time, and they were on point. Oh my God, they were the shit. I love the Weimar Republic and the way that it functioned and everything. I wish we had that here. Anyway, the Social Democrats were really, really good guys. They were left-leaning, but not communist. And anyway, communists were not good guys at the time. They were bad guys. They were looking for an opportunity to destroy democracy. They were trying to spark a revolution, and they were using violent means to do so. So the Nazis at the time were trying to also spark like a revolution, and the Nazis and the communists in the earliest days worked together temporarily to destroy or to outweigh political parties that were in favor of democracy. And it got to the point where the Communist Party and the Nazi Party together combined added up to more than 50% of the voting public, which meant any party that wanted to take control at all had to work with either the communists or the Nazis. So the Catholic Center Party and the Social Democrats started trying to work with each other, and the the Catholic Center Party decided to work with Nazis instead of communists because they were afraid that communism was going to destroy religion. Well, you know, godless communists were going to ban the Catholic Church and everything else. They would rather have the Nazis than the communists, basically. So the Catholic Center Party worked with Nazis to destroy the communists. And by 1933, Nazis had fully taken over everything and were violent. They were violently attacking communists in the streets and hurting people. So a communist militant group forms to protect communist party members that are coming home from work or whatever. And the violent, like, militant protection group was called Antifa. That's where it all came from. That's where the name Antifa came from. Anti-fascist is what it meant at the time. The Social Democrats also created their own militant protection group, and they called it the Iron Front. And their symbol was 3 arrows. You may have heard of this, the 3 arrows. The 3 arrows were supposed to represent the destruction of, hang on, let me show you. Here you go. Wait. Yeah, this is it right here. Destroy monarchy, the crown here. Destroy Nazism and destroy communism. Those are the 3 arrows that they were going to use to destroy those things. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of the origin of the 3 arrows. Antifa. It's pretty interesting.
Do you know anything about the
Antifa was actually really bad back then. It was not good. But Antifa is like a different organization today. It's not even an organization. Antifa is just like a decentralized group of people who are trying to improve society in one way or another. But yeah, it's super interesting. I prefer to, oh yeah, one more thing. I found an interesting quote that I'm putting in my book too about fascism that I figured I'll put this in here. Like assassination or genocide, fascism is not an opinion, it is a crime. I thought that was cool. It's a pretty cool saying.
It was Eric Coomer on Dominion, and they said, don't worry about this. We've taken care of it. You remember that,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
Do you know anything about the background of that?
No.
No.
Okay.
It's fictitious, as we read in AP News. It didn't happen. Some random dude made a claim about it and ran with it.
Here's the deal.
Just so people understand, Coomer is from
Coomer
Dominion.
is the
CEO, DM.
key patent holder
Okay.
of most of Dominion patents,
Okay.
and he is considered their top security guy
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he was a CEO.
inside Dominion.
Right. Okay.
Right? So he's kind of like their brainchild. He's an advanced mathematician,
Mhm.
right? Not a good fellow. I'm not saying he's a good fellow, so
Right.
don't take it there.
He's a fine fellow. There's nothing wrong with this guy.
With handlers.
Okay.
Handlers.
He keeps saying handlers. Yeah, Jews have handlers. Like what?
Handlers, yeah.
Erev Rav.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Very true.
Continue.
Anyway.
This is the
Okay.
best podcast
So
ever.
you heard about that call.
Yes.
And then there was even, I think it might have been Rudy Giuliani at some
I love that he says you heard about that call rather than you heard that call because it's fake. It didn't happen.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Very true.
Continue.
Anyway.
This is the
Okay.
best podcast
So
ever.
you heard about that call.
Yes.
And then there was even, I think it might have been Rudy Giuliani. At some time, we hear this call going on. Said we got it for whatever.
But we didn't hear this call.
None of that was true.
Really?
No.
No.
The person who said they were on the call, now that it's all been investigated out,
Obama?
no.
No. Okay.
The person
Oh my God, dude.
who said they heard the call is supposed to be a big technology guy. This grand, incredible technology guy, done all this stuff. Ready? No cell records, no phone call records,
Yeah.
no email to get on the Zoom call. He made no recording, no witnesses. His evidence was 5 pages of notes that made no sense.
Sounds like an indictment behind Trump.
Well, hang
Similar
on.
stuff.
That one story became viral.
This is really interesting. So it's like this guy is shooting down like all claims of voter fraud and then claiming that it was somewhere else and all that other stuff was like distractions. Interesting. Okay.
Shared the shit out of it.
That person got put into every single lawsuit
Oh my God.
as evidence.
Oh.
Every single lawsuit got booted. But there was an interesting thing is,
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So here's what he's saying then. He's saying there was this one fake event that was claimed to be real, but it wasn't. And it was put into every lawsuit, and it was easily disproven, which means the lawsuit's thrown out. But that's not how lawsuits work. You can throw out specific parts of a lawsuit if you want. And besides that, you wouldn't, like, lay out your defense when filing, or your offense or whatever, when filing the lawsuit. I don't think. You do that when you get to trial or, get into the defense portion or whatever. You make a claim to start, right?
it seemed like those guys always knew what the attorneys were going to try. Somebody was feeding them information of this is what the team said, this is what the team tried. But when you look at it as empirical evidence, you got to...
Like, did you ever consider the possibility that maybe they put up their best arguments up front to try to overturn everything, and their best arguments were complete shit? That ever, like, cross your mind?
You got to take it on face value. That's all I take it on.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to believe that a top-rated, self-proclaimed tech CEO that supposedly runs as much data only second to Google, that's his claims, heard...
I've never heard that claim before. Second to Google, really? Microsoft runs a ton of stuff.
to believe that this is what the team said, this is what the team tried. But when you look at it as empirical evidence, you got to take it on face value. That's all I take it on.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to believe that a top-rated, self-proclaimed tech CEO that supposedly runs as much data only second to Google, that's his...
I've never heard that before, and that is very improbable. I'm sorry, like, I can't buy it. I think this guy is just completely full of shit here. I mean, we've heard pretty much everything he says is nonsense. So it looks like disbarment proceedings with New York started in 2021 with Rudy, but was finalized on July 2nd. Oh, interesting.
his claims, heard this, but yet he couldn't record the call, doesn't have cell phone records, doesn't have phone records, doesn't have the email, only has these 5 things of notes. And now he's not even going to turn over the witness that told him the call was happening. From me, from an investigator...
That's like Adam Schiff's whistleblower.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which whistleblower she's talking about here.
There you go. When I look at stuff like that, I'm going, wait a minute. What the hell happened here? Why didn't good people check out the facts? Now, hang on. Ready? That person, that story took off, and he was able to get into interviews and share that story. Here's what I heard. Here's what it was. Here's whatever.
Okay, get to the point.
One interview with one good person made the next network pick it up and the next podcaster pick it up. Every one of them got sued for having that story on. It's what made Michelle Malkin leave the air. Michelle Malkin was some of the greatest voice out there.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't. I don't know who she was, but if she's being endorsed by this poor fool, she absolutely was not the greatest voice out there. Aside from that, this is super interesting. So he's debunking some MAGA stories. Huh.
She even just left the air. It got every network sued. But the common denominator is that one claim, I was on a call and here's what I heard. We all heard recordings. People still, but now it's non-existent.
It's a computer virus. It was planted.
Well, I think, look, it doesn't pass the smell test.
Wow.
And if you look sitting here, if you thought you're going to get on an Antifa call, even if it was you'd have your recording shit going on.
Oh, please.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would.
If you were going to get on an Antifa call, really?
A lot more.
Like, even the head of the FBI appointed by Donald Trump said Antifa is an idea, not an organized group. Everything out of these people's mouths is bullshit, all of it.
More energy, a lot less stomach distress, a lot better.
You would. You'd have none of it. Nothing. And so here's what I think happened.
Jesus Christ.
Between the claims about the machines, between the seeded...
You hearing this guy huffing and puffing? He's so upset about this fictitious nonsense that this guy's making up right now.
And Foster claimed, I saw them flip the votes, swap the votes.
Uh-huh.
Between it was the machines, and between we heard the machine companies were going to do it,
Uh-huh.
we all got played in a perfect storm that made
Yeah.
everybody look away. Now, let me tell you why.
Uh-huh.
Remember, I told you the voting machines is you can't really prove it, but you also got to remember anything to do with the machine, because it's voluntary, you
Mhm.
can't prove it, but it's
Right.
also a
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
When you can, when I can prove that a ballot,
Rico.
when a ballot is counterfeit or it's not a real person, because this follows strict laws, each one of these is a state and federal felony.
I have no idea what he's going on about right now. This is nonsense.
That's it. Each one of them, right? So what are you going to get the world to focus on? You're going to get them to focus on a million individual felonies that show the system's guilty, or are you going to try to make everybody focus on the machines where
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because you can't prove anything?
Yeah. So
Wow. They're fucking
the,
Kaiser Sose,
the
dude.
Rob
Kaiser Sose. Oh my God.
is in the mail-in ballots, right?
Yes, it is.
That's what it is.
Well, that's why Bernie on Jimmy Fallon, when we started,
Oh, please. He started this out with this whole thing. If you didn't see the previous parts, he played a clip from Bernie Sanders where he claimed that where Bernie went on Jimmy Fallon and said Donald Trump is going to claim that there's voter fraud and try to stop vote counting on election night because the mail-in ballots won't be counted until the next day, and in-person voting favors the Republican every single time because Republicans don't like technology generally. So anyway, that was obvious as it gets. That obviously, yes, of course that's going to happen. He wasn't cheating or lying or I don't even know what the claim is. What do you think Bernie Sanders was doing?
I told you, he says, you're going to find out.
Yeah.
It's the mail-in ballots and they need extra days to count. And you're going to find out bad. So let's just jump to that real
So
quick.
that's why they didn't want Bernie. Same reason they got rid of Biden. They're so fucking old, they accidentally tell the truth.
Well, actually,
Interesting
no.
theory.
Here's what I think's going on. I
What?
told people as soon as Biden got in
Uh-huh.
that he would not make full term. And of course, now he is not full term.
Yeah.
What is he talking about? He will not make full term. And of course, now he hasn't full termed. Yes, he has. Biden will be done with his term in January, right? One way or another. What is he talking about? Biden has not full termed and will not full term. What?
I'm telling you now, I don't think it's going to be Kamala, even though
I don't
it's announced.
either.
I don't.
No, that's just a place.
Let me
I
tell you
do.
what happened.
I do, but
When you got to look at what they push. They push white supremacy
Because they're Nazis.
and old white guys.
right.
Old white guys.
Old white
white guys.
supremacist guys.
But hang on, what did they do?
Oh my God, dude.
They put in an old white guy.
Right.
Why did they put in an old white guy? Here's what I believe.
Because that's all anybody will vote for. That's why an old white guy got in. Really?
They're Nazis.
No, they're
No.
they're hedging their bets.
Oh.
They knew that enough of this is going to come out, and Trump
By the way, who is they in this conversation? I say this every time. I want to point this out. Who the hell is they?
is going to get headway, and they knew they would do a hot swap.
They. It's called weasel words. He's referring to some ambiguous group out there, some authority, and assuming that people he's letting people kind of draw the dots the rest of the way. Usually when people use the word they define who they're referring to. They previously in the sentence is defined. Like just now, I said when people use. I'm just saying people generally. I defined who they is. But these people are going in without defining they. They're just saying they. And what they mean is the cabal, the secret group of Jewish communazis. I mean, I'm not even joking here. This is crazy.
In the middle of an election with somebody younger, because now Kamala, let's say she is, but I don't think she's going to be. Let's say it's Gruesome Newsom. He's going to be able to say that.
Gruesome Newsom. Oh boy, he came up with a name for him. That's actually a really good nickname, actually. I mean, it's a scumbag nickname, of course. Scumbag thing for him to do to come up with a nickname in the first place, but it's a good one as far as nicknames go.
That old white guy. Look, I told you. Look, this is all planned. It didn't happen. Look, what did we get post-Obama? Separate bathrooms, cut off a wiener, you're a girl, cut off boobs.
Separate bathrooms? We had separate bathrooms before Obama, too. Is he aware of that? That we had separate bathrooms? That we've segregated bathrooms by gender for a long time?
Look, I told you. Look, this is all planned. It didn't happen. Look, what did we get post-Obama? Separate bathrooms, cut off a wiener, you're a girl, cut off boobies, you're a guy.
This is just scumbag shit to say. Why? Why go down this road? Why say these things? Why attack this group of people who are doing absolutely nothing to you? Why do they do this? It's just morally debased. It's morally as low as you can get. Disgusting how these people act and the things that they say.
It all happened at once. It was all planned chaos. That's why my book is Countdown to Chaos.
Fundamentally changed
it was
the
the
landscape
countdown
of
to
America.
it. And what did he tell us? We're going to fundamentally change America.
And
We're
he's
going to
gonna
transform
Did
America.
you notice that all those speakers who are defending the child trans,
Yeah, popcorn. Yeah.
they're all a bunch of lesbians. The lesbian teachers, they just want little boys to cut off their.
That's right.
Why? You know, I'd normally skip this stuff because it's pointless and it's just like morally reprehensible nonsense. But I feel like it's necessary that we hear them out, that we listen to what they say and gauge their moral debauchery. Their, God, what's the term I'm looking for now? I'm trying to think of it. It's necessary that we gauge their moral degeneracy. That's it. That is just disgusting shit right there.
I mean, it's so
That's right.
dramatic.
That's right.
Because their dad was dumb,
Yeah.
and then they become a teacher that want little boys to cut. I mean, if we
She's like drawing this insane like image, this insane stereotype that doesn't even exist. What is she talking about? How are the things connected? Why would somebody want other people's kids to be trans if they were taken advantage of at one point in their lives? I don't understand like why they've arrived at the conclusion that they have.
I
don't go
believe it
through the
happened.
trauma
Yeah.
of
That's what it all
makes
is.
people leftists
Yeah.
and traitors against their own children and people.
That's what we got to talk
That's
about.
what God wants us to know.
You would never have believed medically from a medical term that a bad case of male disease would now be just identified as an ugly, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
Dude, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you like this? I thought my Magikarp was evolving. Did I accidentally cancel the evolution? Yeah, well, I'm going to use a rare candy on him to make him evolve. That's my mistake.
It's a joke. It is all to hyphens did it.
It's
This
to be
came in.
able
Hyphens did it.
to
Divide.
get in women's face and scream.
Women are. I told you, women are going
What?
to win this, and it's good. This is going to come down to women.
Oh, God, don't tell me that.
Sand's
Doesn't make
illegal,
me
but it's
feel
going to
good.
come down to
because-
women.
And when I go in there and start seeing some blue-haired fat whale screaming in my face, I'm gonna because I
Has that literally ever happened? Somebody with blue hair screaming in Roseanne's face? Is she describing like a real situation or is she just like making shit up again?
Knock her ass out.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna just karate chop her right in the fucking throat.
Right? Look. I agree with you. I mean,
I'm gonna go leave these boys.
America agrees with you.
Yeah, we do.
Like, what the f? I am so. Oh my God, dude. I used my rare candy. What are these people talking about? Sorry, it's been a while since I've been on. Life has been wild. No sweat. I get that. I passed my second GED class. I got, science and math left. All right, cool. That's awesome news. Congratulations on that. I'm sure that things will go well for you. I had to take my GED also when I was, I dropped out of school when I was in 11th grade, basically, because I had to work and support myself, of course. And I took my GED years later, and I took my ACT also. I remember I was dating this girl named Chelsea back in high school, and Chelsea, she took her ACT, and she got a 22, and she treated me like I was dumb as dog shit. and just awful and stupid. And I honestly, looking back, I think Chelsea was only with me to have a date for prom, but who knows? Anyway, she got a 22 on her ACT. Years later, maybe 10 years after I dropped out, no, maybe 5. I got my GED and I took my ACT and I got a 23 on my ACT, I think. Surpassing her after 5 years of not studying, not preparing, not doing any math or anything. I got a better grade than her. So I don't know. I was pretty happy with that. She was just a terrible person in retrospect. Like, my God. Anyway. Also, don't cut it off, they invert it, right? It's a lot more complicated than they're portraying, obviously. I'm not even going to feed into it. This isn't happening. None of this shit is happening. Used to be this one big guy on SNL, can picture doing drag Roseanne. I'm sorry, yeah. He's done others, can't remember his name. Unfamiliar. I forget my ACT scores, but I know my GRE scores. I hate that damn test. I said I will never use it. Yeah, I know people who've gotten real high ACT tests. Like one guy I knew, 36 is the max you can get, isn't it? One dude I knew, Chip, cool guy, actually. Like him a lot. When everything went down with West Virginia, he messaged me and said he supports me and he hopes everything's going well for me and everything else. It's pretty cool. Really, really cool guy. Anyway, total stoner. All the dude did was smoke weed 24/7. He got a 36, a perfect score on his ACT. I thought a 32 was perfect until I heard that he got a 36. Holy shit, dude. What was he doing? Like, putting books in his grinder and smoking them or something? That's the joke I made in high school. Holy shit, man.
Leave these boys alone, you fucking monster.
That's right.
You bitch.
Could you
Nobody is doing this. This is, like, so disgusting.
imagine? Look, we all come from our own bad backgrounds, but I can tell you my bad background. If I had a teacher that was talking about her sex with her maid or lesbian,
Nobody talks about that. That does not happen, okay? Certainly not in, like, elementary school the way these people think. These people are just morally debased.
parents would have gone kick their ass.
They should.
Right?
All these grandmas should go.
And now?
You're supposed to be teaching these kids to read, you stupid bitch. What is your problem? We don't care what you do.
Yeah, I think even the word bitch is not enough for these people, but you know what I'm saying.
Just being nice because you're here.
Right, being nice, totally.
It is horrible.
Miscreant.
Yes.
Miscreant,
Yes.
Satan worship, baby blood drinking Democrats.
What they did.
Holy shit, dude. This is, once again, what I'm saying. She believes that Democrats are literal vampires. You are literally a vampire. You drink blood that you use to sustain your life. Literal vampire.
They did is they infiltrated into everything sacred that we have. They basically took everything that was valued.
They love it. They love to profane holiness.
And they assigned their minions and their people into each category, and they
Minions.
ran their mission. And what they did is they brought
I thought boomers were the ones that are constantly using minions.
all of the tenets that connect us to our faith and being good, ethical people, and they ripped every one of them apart. It started with when they hyphenated us, African American, Jewish American. It doesn't matter. You're either American or you're not.
That's right.
Now,
Okay. I think that African American is now used as like a category type of deal for scientific research or research generally. I think African American covers anybody whose ancestors were affected by the slave trade now. Holy shit, dude. I'm getting bodied by this Primeape right now.
now in the community, that doesn't even work. They got to divide you further. You're Zionist or not Zionist. You know, words have been made evil like Zionist. It just pisses me off.
Zionist is an evil word in his mind. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a bad thing to be a Zionist. This is actually fascinating because up until very recently, I was not, all right, when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to be political. It was forbidden for Jehovah's Witnesses. So looking back at like my old perspectives on things is really interesting. Like completely separated from politics, what was my perception of stuff? And I believe that the Iraq War was a good thing, that we had a right to go in and blah, blah, blah. That was my perspective on the Iraq War at the time. Of course, that was completely made up, but it kind of reveals what the general public likely thought about these issues. I was pro-Iraq War. I was also pro-trans and pro-gay I thought people had the right to do what they wanted with their lives. And interestingly enough, this Zionist thing, I felt like the word Zionist was a bad word, that it's offensive, that it's like a slap in the face to Jews if you call them a Zionist. And I didn't think that Zionism was a bad thing at the time. Now I understand that what Zionist means is they believe that they have, well, let me rephrase. Zionists are not necessarily Jewish people. They're like Biden calls himself a Zionist, for example. Anybody that believes that Jews have a spiritual, religious right to own the territory around Israel, to own Gaza and Jordan and everything in the name of Israel. That's what a Zionist is. And in retrospect, like, I didn't realize this, but Zionism is actually, like, really bad. Nobody should have a religious right to own something like that. Like, that's wrong. Anyway, I think that's really fascinating.
Right, and I see people do that.
They want words to mean nothing.
And I'm seeing good people now, good people
you know
that are now buying into this Zionist shit.
Well, Zion's in the Bible, you stupid cunts. That's a word they should learn.
Zionist is in the Bible? I've never heard that before. Maybe it is. I know that they called it Zion, didn't they? Israel was Zion, and it was like the home of the Jews or whatever, but the concept of Zionism wasn't in the Bible, was it? Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people need help for real.